Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. It is a lovely Wednesday night, later than usual. We just had a game away at Austin. Somehow came out of there with a point. Was it deserved? We'll talk about it. I hope everyone's having a good night. I know it's late. We'll try and get you out of here without running too far over, midnight, 12:30, around there. Whew. All right. So, let's get AJ coming on in. I keep doing that. It's not the wheel forfeit yet, but we will be getting to it. You turn that off. AJ, how are you feeling after salvaging a point in Austin? Were you convinced? Did it flatter you, or how does it feel?
Well, it's that old adage, flatter to deceive. I think that's really what it is. And yeah, it's not a good performance at all. But somehow we were able to escape with a point, which, as we know, a point on the road is pretty much a win, except when you can't win at home. And yeah, we haven't been able to do that, obviously, with any consistency. So yeah, this is a big result to a degree, stealing this, but it is where you still look at it performance-wise. There's not patterns of play that are replicable. I mean, Miggy, 3 shots in the first 22 minutes. Excellent in that sense. There were some one-on-ones in this match that both sides probably should have finished. But yeah, I think it shows the lack of clinical ability so far on both sides. But yeah, as well, Brandon Vasquez, of course, is the man to score against Atl Utd.
Of course.
I mean,
it had to happen that way. It
had to happen. It was either he or John Gallagher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought you told me he was going to be injured, and then I got scared when I saw him on the starting list.
I know, right? Well, when he viewed our story when he was should have been at practice, it was like, okay. Oh, why did he do that? Oh, he was out with a hamstring, but I mean, I guess he recovered quickly enough and was able to, but that was last week, obviously, and this week's a different week. But either way, it was either he or, 5 stripes adjacent, because Owen Wolf, Tyler Wolf's brother, had a pretty decent game too.
Yeah, dude.
And it was just one of those things where, okay, Braguzan as well, we'll give him some shouts out for making some big saves, especially on the one-on-one, and on one of the kind of tip over for a parry. I mean, not like a super save, but definitely needed. If he wasn't there, then I think most keepers can get to that. But yeah, I am curious if you thought that Brandon Vasquez's free kick would have been savable. Obviously, he parried it, but it parried it into the back of the net. But did you feel like he was able to possibly maybe punch it up instead of, or was it too well struck?
I think it was probably too well struck. He has a lot of power in his kicks. I think that his outstretched hand was the only way he was going to get anything to it. A punch, I don't think, would have probably made it. And the fingertips, unfortunately, at that pace are not going to withstand. So I don't think many other keepers. And I think Brad is known as having a pretty stiff arm. So if he's not going to be able to get to it and have his big paw be able to stop it, I don't know if a lot of keepers would be able to.
And that is fair, yeah, because you can ask Franco Escobar how that felt, or sometimes LGP, or who was it as well? Was it Fernando Mesa also maybe caught
probably
some strays? I can't remember now, but yeah, it was a number of people. So,
Yeah.
but that's usually punching through and not punching a or trying to tip a free kick. But either way, yeah, I mean, it's just the lineup's a bit perplexing as well. I mean, obviously, yeah, like Brooks Lennon being injured, you were always gonna shift anyway, and then Ronaldo Hernandez. I mean, it is pretty much we've been dealing with 3 of the 4 defenders in our back line for most of the season have been out. Like that's like most teams probably cannot withstand that as far as the starters. But either way, I was more perplexed about Moranchuk, Schleich, and Click starting versus Fortune, Muyumba, who, I mean, I think you saw immediately more energy. And, you know, Saba as well, I think probably should have been the wingback. But, you know, hindsight is, you know, 2020, of course. But, you know, either Edwards or Cobb as one of the right center backs, you know, interchangeable for me at this moment because I don't really have a preference between them two. They both are kind of similar in some senses. But, I mean, I think you saw the immediate impact that Saba was having, where he was, started off on the left a little bit, went over to the right, and obviously was able to give the service for Jamal Tiari to sweep it in. And, I mean, it was also kind of weird, actually. Emmanuel Lat subbed off. So, you know, I think Baranchuk probably should have been one of the first people to be subbed off. Because, again, I mean, it's just, it's game after game. It's absence. You know, and it's just like, or when he's on the pitch and you see his service and it's just like that's it. Like that's like from those corners. Like these corners, he's the outswinger, which for some reason also, I don't know why we're outswinging it. I think we should be in-swinging these balls. Because you cause way more chaos. So, yeah, it was definitely, I think, also kind of strange. Derek Williams, the defender that's first off.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not would have been my first choice either. Probably Luis Abram, who probably like 2 minutes before that couldn't win his duel against his man. And then, for some reason, Derek Williams is the guy. He's the one that sweeped up after him.
I know. That is weird. That was weird.
Like it's I don't want to like massively second guess Ronnie Dyla's moves right now, but it's just like this match was perplexing. Like it is like question after question, and yet I think his squad bailed him out.
Yeah.
Like
for once, yeah.
If I could give him a rating here, I mean it's like 6 probably. Mm-hmm. Because yes, he did bring on Saba and Tiare, but like it was almost like you had to throw something else on because I mean majority of the match you're doing nothing, especially in the second half. Like, at least we finished a half in the second half well for the first time in what seems like ever.
Yeah.
But we're still winless in 7. So.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, just going over the sofa scores because I was curious, when you were saying about Moranchuk and everything. He was the highest rated player on our team, tied with Latte La. So that is kind of funny that's they put them as that. Brad Guzan being the highest rated out of all of us. So the other ones were the outfield players in terms of them Latte Latte and Moranchuk being the 2 highest, and then Brad Guzan being the highest, but that's the goalie. So
I think it's this to kind of maybe decipher it, and you tell me what the stats say. I'll go with the eye test for now.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, Moranchuk, obviously, probably the passing accuracy pretty high. He's the guy who's kind of stitching it, trying to anyway. And he's taking corners, he's, all that type of stuff. It gives him more kind of good stats, if you will. And I think, you're kind of buoyed with that a lot of times.
Nothing stands out to me except for his passing accuracy. That's it. It was at 89%, so not bad. He didn't make any massive goofs like he has done in other games, so that's some progress. And I was expecting to see a little bit of him trying to kind of erase the memories of what happened last game by having a bit of a standout match this game. Unfortunately, he only kind of stood out by not standing out in a negative way, which is kind of progress if you're only looking at it from a baseline of a negative, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah, there's that, and then there's how the commentators were pointing out the real lack of chemistry, because two players going after the same ball, Maranchuk and Muyumba.
That was insane. I couldn't believe that. Oh my.
Like, obviously, let the faster player get it, and then, the other player will be the person that receives it once they get to the byline. But instead, they both go after it, and I think Muyumba almost tackles him.
Yeah.
Maybe actually does. Somehow we get the corner, and we get 2 bites at the cherry, and we still can't muster up anything with it. Maranchuk has to right foot cross, which goes over everybody's head. Nobody making the run at the back post, as always.
Yeah.
It's just... Yeah, it's
a comedy of errors at that point. Watching that, we don't deserve to have gotten that last at the depth goal. It would have just solidified the comedy, the tragicomedy, I guess, of this game. But I don't.
It's a dark comedy.
The fact that you don't have a better example of a team not having chemistry than literally Maranchuk and Muyumba beelining it and both burning a sprint on that. It's
this. You commend the effort, and there's somebody I called it a gritty performance on Twitter or X, and somebody was like, gritty, and I'm like, would you call it beautiful? Because it's definitely not beautiful. But did the team fight really hard and push for this draw? Yes, they did. So I think the plaudits should be given for that. And again, I think they bailed out Ronnie Dial and his tactics in this match, because it's I don't know. For large parts of this match, yes, the players they look lost, but why do they look lost? Because there's no real system that they're playing. They're just trying to, essentially hold fort. Once Austin got a foothold in the match, it just became okay, we're just gonna sit back. And yeah, I think we've said this. We should be sitting back more on the road. We only conceded 1, so we were able to get back into the match. We didn't really try to play with the ball as much. I think we were more on the front foot in the first 20 some odd minutes, but yeah. Otherwise, Austin, yeah, they had the rest of it pretty much for 50, 60 minutes, maybe more. So it's just, yeah, I think 100% we stole the point.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me get Nick in here in 1 second, but I gotta ask you first, AJ. I need to get your opinion about was that offsides for you?
They didn't draw the lines, which is weird. It certainly looked a bit off. Where it is the angle in which the box, the 6-yard box, is drawn in there, so you can't really tell unless you draw lines. I'm of the ilk that if it's close, in that sense anyway. Like Arsene Wenger, he was advocating for this, where basically, if you're not, head and shoulders and feet and just body,
knees and toes,
offside, yeah, exactly, offside, then, well, I mean, I think it just should be on, but obviously those aren't the actual rules, and so, I mean, it's close enough. It might have been off, but they didn't draw the lines, so we'll take it.
We take those. Nick, how you doing? How are you feeling? It's not a loss, so
no, it isn't. I'm still very, 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 very conflicted here. I mean, I obviously when the goal went in to level it, I was like, what just happened? Because no one was expecting it. Nobody. If you show me one person that was expecting us to actually score, I'll slap that person. I'm like, what were you thinking? What are you on? And give me some of it, please.
It's true. Yeah, because even the commentator was like, "Nah, they don't look likely," but it's just like, yeah. It's that's what happens.
They're like, "Do you expect a goal?" And they're like, "Nope."
Yeah. Like
it's pretty bad.
Really that. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's pretty bad when someone like me, who is a 17 through and through, sits here and says, I didn't expect them to score. I was surprised that they scored. We shouldn't be saying this.
Yeah.
It wasn't even. Did you celebrate? Like, were you?
No.
Like regular celebration, like you might have.
Well, I scared the cat off the couch, so that's about as far as it went.
Yeah,
So
my reaction was basically
terrorizing-
was just, oh shit, okay. That was literally what I said. And
Yes,
that was the extent of my celebration.
Right. It's exactly that. I think that's the muted energy, unfortunately, that we are all suffering from right now, because it's just like, it's that hope that gets you. And like right now, it is wise to not get too hopeful, because I mean, it's just, if it were any other way, if we were like clearly closer to, like actually scoring more often, I think it would be a different story about the excitement. But yeah, it's just
absolutely
exactly where we are.
Yeah.
But yeah. Where did you watch the match? It was at home, probably.
I was at home on the couch this evening. Quite comfortable. So I wasn't as energized as I would be, say, in the supporters section or in the at a watch party. So yeah, it'll be a different story on Saturday. However,
Yes.
So what I'm interested to see is where they go mentally from here after salvaging a point out of this, if anywhere.
It's
Keywords, if anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really great question, because it's this. It's like, what is the mood like in the locker room? Because is it going to be elation? Is it going to be business? Where they're like, okay, well, we should have gotten a draw out of this to begin with. We need to get results. Or was Ronnie Dyla still laying into the team a little bit? I mean, yeah, it's a good kind of like thought process to what they might be feeling, and that's maybe how they, I guess, mentally, kind of, I guess, prepare or bring themselves into the match against Philly. But I mean, I would think any sort of positive result right now is, a confidence booster.
Yeah.
So, but what do you think, Nick?
Well, I think that if I were on that team, I'd be like, okay, good, but not good enough. Well, honestly, it's an apples oranges comparison, because I would have been pissed like 6 games ago, and just lit a fire under someone and said, what in the fuck are you all doing? Which is basically what I've said on this stream. I mean, no big surprise. But I don't want to be one to read the tea leaves, but I am a lot more concerned about Philadelphia than I am Austin.
Oh yeah.
Because of the fact that what
100%.
happened in that match tonight for them, they are coming in on an emotional roller coaster ride right now. But it was the frickin' LA Galaxy that went up 2 goals on them in the first frickin' half.
Yeah, LA Galaxy
I
can't
mean-
buy a win, man. It's rough for them. Kind of similar, like we were talking about the other day, like as a mid-off if we were to play each other.
Yeah, look
in
at it.
every sense.
As bad as we are, we're not Montreal and we're not the Galaxy. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'll try
This is true.
We are 1 point above. What was it? One of those teams. So we're 1 point above one of them. So.
Right. And then plus the West is pretty bad. And yeah, so it's like Austin came in 8th with really pretty much the kind of similar situation as us a little bit, but you know, they're a lot better in the standings right now. But it's fairly close in terms of form, and also, you know,
Their lack of
everything
goal
that's going
scoring.
on.
Yeah.
Like goal scoring, everything really. I mean, like goal difference, very similar, 8 to our 9. Like it was just, yeah, it was a mid-off at best.
Yeah, that's why the commentators were both expecting a 0-0 draw.
And it was pretty damn close, unless, you know, some miracle. I mean, and which it very much felt like Vasquez's strike. It's like, okay, yeah, you know, like
Had to
if
happen.
he does that 9 out of 10 times, or not even 9 out of, if he does that 2 out of 10 times, I'd be surprised. Like,
Oh, that's
yes,
quite a switch.
right. Yeah. It's
Go
the
from
other
9
way.
of 10 to
That's
2
what
of 10.
yeah. It's more like,
I
obviously he did
forgive
it
you
1
for
out of
that.
10 times, probably at the very least. But like, he couldn't buy a goal until recently against his former clubs when he gets motivated. That's what it comes down to. It seems like, you know, a lot of players in this league, it's about motivation.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just motivation, confidence. And I think the commentator made a great point, is that we look like a team that's just bereft of confidence. We don't have it. And even Braguzan mentioned it after in the you know, kind of interview, is that, yeah, like we're a team that's going through it right now. And that it doesn't scream confidence.
Yeah.
You know, that's, how can you really? But
Yeah.
you know, but from the captain himself, it's like, I don't know. Like, I guess he could be a little bit more rah-rah, but I mean, it'd be a little disingenuous. So I think his mind is where it should be at the moment, but yeah. It's
Well, your question earlier about
tough.
like, does this build something that we can take to you know, for the rest of the season? I was saying in the chat, and I think like even Gavin said it in the Discord too. Like, I was like, screw it, let's go win MLS Cup now. Why not? You know, why can't this be the turnaround point? Like, why can't it be? It absolutely can be, if you want to look at it like that. Statistically, is it likely to be that? Probably not. But
No.
it's still possible. And if you're a team, like apparently Atlanta United is, that you're extremely emotionally volatile, like you have high swings of up and down, and you know, you can do well and you can do crap or whatever, like it's possible that if you can get on an emotional roller coaster that takes you to the bottom pit of hell, then perhaps you can take that same and ride it all the way up to heaven eventually. So hopefully that could be a thing. I'm not saying it's likely, but I'm just saying, why not? If you want to grab onto something optimistic and positive, that's one way to take it.
It's apparently 95%, according to somebody. I'm trying to remember who actually said that, but 95% unlikely that we will make the playoffs. But you know, let's all say it together. The Dumb and Dumber saying.
So you're
telling
saying
me
there's a
There's
chance.
a chance.
Yep.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, just look at what happened last season with Atlanta United. We proved the doubters wrong.
10%.
So.
Yeah. So, yep.
I
can
will
happen,
say one
folks.
thing.
Can happen.
I will say one thing fun. Earlier today, I tagged a great friend of mine that is in the Austin Anthem. and I said, show some good hospitality to our supporters, and he responded with the following, and I quote, with a map of the forecast, which I shared in the Discord, of all the heat that was going on today, which the heat ended up not being as much of a factor in the game as I thought it would be. But he said, bringing you the wrong type of Texas hospitality will attempt to rectify with beer and mid-tier soccer. And he's absolutely right on all counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows his team, and we know our team.
It is what it is,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Is the tier spelled with TEAR? Because I
No.
think it's interchangeable. But
TIER in this case.
yeah.
All right, Nick, give us your final thoughts.
That was something. That's really all there is to say. That was something. It's not the, by far not the prettiest goal we've ever seen, by far not the prettiest draw, result, whatever you want to call it, we've ever seen. It was very ho-hum. That's what it felt like, very ho-hum.
A
Nothing
soccer
exciting
game
there.
was reportedly played and registered on a ledger somewhere.
This will probably ultimately go down as a win that is just insignificant in the annals of the history of this club, you know. But
A win that wasn't a win, but yes, definitely in a moral victory sense of we did not completely watch a team capitulate.
Yeah.
like
So,
last Saturday,
Yeah.
like I said, it just was. That was painful. That was painful to go through, and seeing it happen right in front of my freaking eyes on the side of the field that I was on, right in front of me. Watch us get gifted an own goal and then collapse yet again. But we're not talking about that match. We're talking about this match. And I was scared, even though we had like 4 minutes left after that goal. Here we go again. You know, the thoughts were creeping and running through my mind, and I was trying to suppress them.
Yeah, I was like, I've seen this. I've seen this before.
I've seen this script before.
Yep, this movie plays over and over in our memories, of course. And yeah, it is that too, where there were like 2 extra stoppage time minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like, okay, yeah, let's blow the fucking whistle, guys.
By the way, remember, VAR will only recommend a review if it's clear and obvious, you know. So they obviously had some doubt, which is why they went and checked complete and we went on, you know. So
Right.
They obviously didn't
it
see
was,
what we might have seen.
Yeah.
Right. Which, I mean, I think they have the same views. It's just that, yeah, they can, stop, start, and zoom in, enhance, draw lines. But nobody drew lines, so okay, cool.
Yeah.
Watch it come up in Pro's video they post Saturday. Watch it come up.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure
right.
like Austin fans. I wonder how Austin fans, if they feel hard done about it. I wonder if they're in like Andrew Weeby's mentions right now with replay.
Oh yeah.
So
you can bet they are, because we sure lit Andrew Weeby up when the Mega goal got disallowed
Always
in the New
do.
England match.
Yep.
Because he said it himself. Atlanta fans blew up my mentions.
Yeah. All right, Nick. Thanks for hanging out. It wasn't a loss, so pleasure talking to you in a more positive sense.
So come out and see me at the tailgate in Lot 17 on Saturday, please. Come up.
Hey.
I'll give you a hug, even if you want a hug. You have to consent. That's okay.
Of course. Yeah. All right, Nick.
Awesome.
Take care.
Always a pleasure.
All right. Good night. See y'all. Bye.
Night night. All right. Let me read a little bit of the chat while we are waiting. Yeah, a lot more comments than I thought I'd get tonight so far. Gavin says, woo. All right. Wheel of forfeit already. I know I need to change that. Joshua says, Atlanta United comeback tie. That's amazing. I mean, if that gets you saying that's amazing, I'm happy for you. You live in a more optimistic world than I do, but I'm happy that we have fans who still, see things from a positive perspective like that. It's really good. And I'm trying my best to be there too. So it's hard. Garrett says, was it just me, or was the team pretty unenthusiastic about getting the equalizer? I mean, they thought probably it's like, yeah, we did that, but it's the bare minimum. It's what was supposed to, in their minds, like, it's supposed to be the reaction. So they're just kind of like, okay, we did the bare minimum. So it's hard to get enthusiastic about the bare minimum.
Reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, if they were actually ecstatic and, like, maybe even celebrated, it's like, no. Like, okay, if you did this against, like, Inter Miami or something, or, whoever's top of the Eastern Conference right now, because, man, I don't even want to look at the top right now because it's just so far
It's
up.
dizzyingly high right now.
Yeah. But, it's like, okay, well then, yes, celebrate. But this is, like we were mentioning earlier, this is a mid-off. This is mid-tiers of just, okay, sadness. And the fact that we were even able to get back into this match. Yeah. Brilliant. In a non-brilliant way.
Yeah. All right, let me get a couple more of these real quick before we get Gavin. GRE says, thoughts on Ronald? We'll talk about Ronald Hernandez. That'll be one of the first things I ask Gavin about and see what he thinks about how Ronald did tonight. Kyle Apgar says, we did a thing. It just took around 95 minutes. Still plenty of room to improve, but it is a result, indeed. Victory says, are you all going to talk about how bad Almiron was? Yeah, he wasn't great. He was definitely not great, especially his blown, his 2 blown opportunities early in was just kind of disheartening. Stormy Weather said, Mira did goof several passes before being taken off. Yeah, he did goof a few, but there weren't goofs that were catastrophic like they have been previously. Kyle's also says, the weird thing was that corner run, and lucky we avoided a self-inflicted injury. Yeah, some guys in our Discord, they run some bingo cards for these matches, and one was Alexi being dispossessed, and up until that point, he hadn't been dispossessed by the other team, but he was almost dispossessed by Mayumba, so that would have been hilarious. All right, with that, Gavin, how you doing? What is your takes on the game, and also just as a little bonus, how did you feel Ronald Hernandez did, since one of the chatters was interested?
Yeah. Well, I was going to come in here and talk about how, this really bad team, and I'm not wrong, because it's a pretty bad team. Not pretty bad team, it's a really, really bad team. Team that's full of players, no chemistry whatsoever. It's just a team full of players. It's not even a team at this point. I've heard it before. It's not even a team. But I think we got pretty lucky at the end there. Just came out of nothing, but we've seen that before. We've seen Atlanta do that many times before, and it happened again. So hey, I'll take it. But you're in third to last now with this result. I did not see us being this bad this year, and it's very disappointing to see that.
No, so, pretty much no one did.
No one saw this. It sucks how this is us now. It's been like that for a while, and we're now winless in 7. It's terrible, really bad. But adding to that, Ronald Hernandez. I would say Ronald Hernandez. I feel like he's one of the players that really cares for this team. He's been here a while, but he's not great. I don't think we could have better. I think he's one. Like I said, I think he's one of the players that cares for this team, but he's just not as good in my opinion. I'd say I don't even know. This couldn't really do much tonight, but I think I liked a bit of Matt Edwards more. I think he's I see how aggressive he got. I remember he won a throw-in, which was, I believe, a throw-in to Austin. I feel like he was aggressive against some player. I forgot who it was, but he won some throw-in, and I just like seeing his aggressiveness there. So I like some of Matt Edwards, but yeah. It's a point. It's not a loss, but you're in 13th, and you're gonna need more than that if you want to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah. To speak on Ronald Hernandez is he joined us in 2020. When did the slide start to happen? 2020.
That is true.
Is it a coincidence?
Those are 2 data points that are correlative. Yeah.
Exactly. Totally correlative, right? Totally correlative. oh my god, I can't say the word, but yeah, I mean, obviously that's not true, but it is like, I mean, it's the start of when we started bringing players that likely were not good enough for the team, and I think it's still pretty apparent. Like, he's one of the captains. I think that's just
yeah, that says a lot.
like, no rag on like him as a person, but as a player, it's just I don't get it in the sense of like how he's lasted this long on the team.
Yeah,
Like,
I completely agree about that. It's been a few seasons now where I was like surprised that he's still here. But to Gavin's point, the guy does wear his heart on the sleeve. You know, he does care about
He
the
does
club
care,
a lot,
yeah.
and that's really cool. We need players like that. And it's
We
just
need more
weird.
of that. We need a lot more of that.
We
but
need
the
a lot more of
players that do care are not that good.
Yeah, but it is just weird that he's also. I don't know if he still gets called up, but like the Venezuelan national team, and it's do we really need a player like that to be on a national team? It's just, again, with the national team stuff, like, it's, I don't know.
yeah, our
Seems weird.
backups do not need to be international players. Like, that's just the yeah.
Like,
Because I mean,
Efrain Morales
Yeah.
is like our third center back, I'd say, and he's what, for Bolivia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
damn.
yeah, he's probably the last on the totem pole. Really, he's probably like the 7th, because everybody else is ahead of him.
It just seems
Yeah.
like he's the third because we go through center backs like crazy. So.
Yeah, he's the 3rd left center back. Yes. So yeah, but yeah. Either way, you know, Gavin, as far as this in the pantheon of the 7 games that we have not won, as far as performance, as far as results, where's that stack in this run?
Well, it's probably one of the. I can't pull back our last few matches off the top of my head, but God, it's like I'd say it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same, except we actually got a point out of it. And honestly, just seeing that last attack where we scored, it's like aside from the Miggy 1v1, that's like the only other chance where we actually could have scored. Like, I thought Saba was going to shoot that. Just knowing Saba, I feel like sometimes he could be selfish and not make that pass because we've known him for being that way. So he got to Jamal and he scored it. And my thoughts on that goal, like you said, AJ, I think he might have been offside. They didn't draw that line. I think he might have been offsides, but hey, I'll take it. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, he was offsides. I'm not going to go to Austin and be like, hey ref, he was offside. I'm not going to be that honest guy. But
Yeah, I gotta say about that, Gavin, is just like, you know, at this point, it's not so much like I'm like rooting and like gonna be excited for our team potentially winning. It's like I kind of know what's gonna happen. I'm more kind of just excited for Austin not getting all 3 points and just going, oh, sucks to suck. Like, you probably deserved it, but oh well, sucks to suck. Like,
Yeah.
I was talking to I wasn't talking to Austin fans. I was like in this Discord and I told Austin fans that I think y'all deserve that win. I'd be, if I were y'all, I mean, I feel like I'd be pissed. This reminds me of the St. Louis game last year because that game was like St. Louis deserved to win, and then we got a PK goal off a rebound, Daniel Rios. It just gives me that some sort of vibe. It's where, oh, we got it late. We didn't deserve it because we looked terrible all game. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. Yeah, Austin. They like to do that in front of their fans, especially in this type of run. It's like that's an arguably like worse night than what we had. So
Yeah.
for sure, yeah, we, you know, and anytime you can do that, yes. And man, like we, it's really by hook or by crook. I don't even care at this point. Like, we can get just all the bad calls going our way, and you know, we'll feel some sort of way about it, I'm sure, in terms of like, oh yeah, like we got away with that one. But if we just get away with all of them in the rest of these games, I'll be ecstatic. Like, I'll be that petty bastard.
yeah.
on social media.
I mean, the Schadenfreude alone will be worth it if it happens. So, anyway, Gavin, I also wanted to ask you about. So one of the chatters, Stormy Weather 21 in the chat, said something really interesting. He said he actually hated Jamal's goal tonight because it saved Ronnie's job, in his opinion. What do you think about that?
I don't think lots of people will probably disagree, but the coach is not the main problem. Obviously, he can be questionable, but what's it gonna change? It's just gonna make things worse, in my opinion. I mean, maybe it could have saved whatever slim chance of him getting fired after tonight, but no, I don't. If Ronnie does to get fired, I feel like it would come after a home game or like, a home game stretch. But if he does get fired, I don't see it changing much. We gotta sell some players. We gotta buy new players. We need to set a new. You've mentioned this before, Mike. It was something about the culture, and it's really, really hard to change. And I think to do that, you gotta sell some players, buy new players.
You gotta sell what I've started to brand this as the Boca core. It's the core players that Boca still has on our roster that I think needs to largely go. And until that happens, or at least you pass a certain threshold of that amount leaving, that you can get to a point where you have more fresh players than not, and then it tips the balance of the culture going into a more positive direction. Until you have that, I don't think you're getting a lot of different results going forward, regardless of all the different, X variables that we have going on for the club, like, coach, facilities, staff, training, all the things that kind of make our club head and shoulders above a lot of other clubs. These things don't seem to matter. They aren't helping like they should be. And I don't think any of those things are going to really matter until we get that first part fixed.
Do we really have something going on with our training ground? I've seen that discussion of do we have some injury monster in our training turf? I don't know. I feel like I have mixed feelings about that. There could be, because you've seen these injuries. I feel like for example, Steven Gregerson, he can't stay healthy, but when he's healthy, he's probably one of the best defenders in MLS, in my opinion. Our players just can't stay healthy. I think we see more of these pop-up injuries than we see them on the field. So that's what's interesting to me.
It could be that we're also just, scouting and hiring players that are injury prone and we're not aware of it. I do think when Boca was here in his his scouting department, analytics for whatever they were, which, to some degree were almost non-existent in some ways. I think that they weren't
accusing it of being robust.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that they were great at sussing out some specific things that are, to be fair, extremely hard to find out about a player ahead of time. For instance, and this is something we talked about a lot in the Discord, is that players seem to be not really pressure tested before they come here. They were playing really well at maybe a higher level league, doing well on a higher level team, way higher than Atlanta United. And then the idea is that because they're in that environment, they're subjected to far more pressure. However, I contend that that's not necessarily the case. That if you're on a team of all-stars and you fall behind a little bit here or there, other guys pick up after you, and you're kind of saved. When you come to MLS and you're here as a DP, now you are the guy. Now you have to do all the work, and everyone else is an accompanying cast now, and they look to you. And the pressure now is greater upon you now than it was before. So I think you see a lot of guys come here and think also MLS is easy, and turns out they aren't ready for that. This new kind of pressure. I'm not going to say that it's more necessarily, but it's just new kind of pressure So that's what I think that's one of those intangibles that's harder for someone to suss out before getting that player in, and maybe even the softness when it comes to injuries is another one of those X factors.
Yeah, it's definitely that. I think there's also, additionally, it's the players that, it's like, say, when Joseph Martinez came and, he was trying to prove himself. Like, it's something that, Miguel Miron, he was trying to prove himself so he can get to Europe. Thiago Almada, to a degree, trying to prove himself. The players like Moranchuk, it's like, oh, he's like proven some stuff, so he's come here thinking he will ball, and it's not the case. And
Same
I think
with
that's
Luis Arujo, and
yeah, that's the distinction, is that these players think that they will crush MLS because it's a lower league or whatever, and it's
it's like when you before you were never that guy on that team you were playing on that was higher level. Now you're that guy, and it's just different amount of pressure now, and you're just not ready for it. You haven't been pressure tested like that before in your career, and then all of a sudden it's kind of breaking you a bit. And we see a lot of these players come here and they don't live up to their expectations whatsoever, and I think a lot of that has to do with that.
Right. And to a degree, I mean, this version of Miguel Miron is, he was a more of a bit part player, more surplus to requirements at Newcastle. So unfortunately, I mean, it's like, yes, he is on track to, do pretty decent in terms of goals and assists, but I mean, is he a player that, say, even comparatively to Thiago Almada, where you trust him to take over the game for you?
Yeah.
Not really the case.
Not yet, at least, for sure. Yeah. And someone commented that in the Discord, or maybe it was even here. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe it was in Discord. But it basically was like, the difference between pre-Newcastle Miggy and post-Newcastle Miggy, they said was massive. So, and that's, I mean, it goes to your point about the motivations of players coming here. I've seen this narrative start to pop up more and more around the fan base, right? That you get these guys like from Europe who are already playing in Europe, and they don't really have a lot to prove to come here. They're coming here for a paycheck instead, not prestige, right? And so it's like that their chance in Europe or whatever had already sailed, and now they're looking for something easier or more cushy or something like that. And that's not the type of mentality of a player we want. So that could, I don't see, like what I said in the Discord too to respond to that was, I don't know if we can like verify that, if it's just true or not, but it feels like it could be, and it seems like an adequate theory that I think we should at least entertain in the next window, to be like, maybe we don't just only go back to the well of like second division Europe. Maybe we do something else.
Right. And I think it's also this has been happening since kind of bigger name players have been coming into MLS, like Freddie Ljungberg, definitely a player that thought he was too good for this league and really kind of crashed out with the Sounders. I mean, if you look at now, Marco Reus, always an injury-prone player, but yeah, he's not necessarily pulling up trees with the Galaxy right now either. So it's just like, those are those type of players that maybe they don't have like a legacy that they're trying to preserve, like say a Thierry Henry when he came over to the Red Bulls, and he's obviously, I think the goated players are always going to be players that ball out anywhere they go, like the Zlatans, Messis, but it's those other guys that are like really good players, and they think they're gonna ball in MLS, and it's like they find out that they are not. They are possibly mid or not even. So it's the bitter truth, unfortunately. But Gavin,
I do want to add Thiago Almada. He was our star boy. I don't think we're gonna have another player like Thiago Almada like ever again, because I mean maybe, but I'm just saying he's special because he both like fought really hard for this club. Although I do think in 2023 he didn't do as good as he did the year before, but he still was special and he didn't want to be here long term at the same time. So I don't think we're gonna have a player like that again. But I think our front office needs to do more research on, injury-prone players, like loyalty to the club. Do they play for the paycheck, or do they actually play for the team to win championships? Because I don't feel like they've done a great job with that. We did just get Chris Henderson. I'm gonna be patient with the front office, but just gotta wait and see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, Gavin. Thanks for hanging out. Which wasn't a loss, so some positivity, some not as negative as usual. So
Yeah.
that's always good.
Yeah, well, it's not a loss, so you could continue with this momentum against Philly. Who knows? I hope we can do stuff. I can't even say that we're gonna win that game. I can't even say that. I mean, yes, they had a ugly comeback win against the LA Galaxy tonight, but I mean, they actually won their game. That's something we can't do at all. But the game's back at home, so I mean,
Hey, again,
we'll see.
why not, right? Why not the
Why not?
turnaround?
Why
Let's just do it.
Why not?
Fuck it. Let's just do it.
MLS Cup, here we come.
Yeah.
Vamos ATL.
You heard it here first.
Yep.
All right, take care, Gavin. Have a good
Right,
one.
thank you, Gavin. See you,
Guys.
man.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, let me get to a few more.
Well, that
of
was like
these.
the kindest, exit he's ever done.
Yeah.
He usually does the.
Don't remind him. Yeah.
He's gonna come back on it.
I know, right? Okay, so let's see. Victory says Jamal took a pay cut to stay, and he looked more like he's up for the job. Yeah, I agree. I thought Jamal is at least trying his butt off to try and make an impact, so I appreciate his efforts. When Latte Lot isn't providing, at least he is, so that's good. I appreciate his efforts, and he does look like he's trying. So let's see, what else can we see here? Alan Salazar says, nice choice of music for a midnight pod. Yes, nice, chill, relaxing music. Some people call it elevator, and it's not elevator music, but it is very chill. I like it. Lo-fi, chill beats. So, all right, with that, let me just get is Dion, right? You wanted me to?
Yeah, Dion.
Gotcha. Deon. All right, Dion, welcome to the pod. First time. Do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we'll just get right into the game reaction.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Dion, nerdy soccer guy on YouTube. I cover pretty much all of MLS, but I'm a huge Atlanta fan. If I could, I'd watch Atlanta full time, but whenever I started the channel, it was I leave it up to the community to pick what games we watch. But tonight, I watched the Atlanta match, so I could prepare for coming on the channel here. So thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Absolutely welcome, man.
Yeah. So tell us about any of your quick takeaways from this game, if you have any.
Enthusiasm. There's no enthusiasm with this team. I feel like no one. I mean, there's a bunch of times that it seemed like no one really wanted to play. I don't know. It just, that's what didn't make sense to me. There's no enthusiasm, especially that, like the first 30 minutes. Yeah, it was that. I feel like the momentum changed after that cool down break that they were calling it, the drink break. After that, we kind of fell off completely. And like I said, that's my biggest takeaway. I just feel like there's no sense of urgency for the team either.
Yeah, and we talked about this in the past too, quite a few times. The team gets punched in the face, and there's no reaction. They just kind of shrink away from the challenge instead of rising. Or if there is like a break in the action, in this case a cooling break, but we see it all the time in half times. Other team comes out, maybe they make a change tactically, or maybe they just get their heads right mentally, and they just run us off the pitch. And it's very frustrating, because that's something that, I mean, is a coaching thing, but you still, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. If the coach is doing everything he's supposed to do to try and get the mentality right, either the coach just can't get to them, or the players are just, they're just unable to get righted, right? They're back on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's also this too, though. I think you kind of sparked something, Michael, where it's, you want to see with the coaching staff, kind of at least give the players some sort of extra thing to at least build that confidence, or at least these, other ways of being able to play to score goals. But it's like, say, the long throw-ins, the different types of set pieces that can maybe throw off the other team. But you're not really seeing any of those little extra things that can kind of get teams out of ruts. And it's just like almost an over-reliance on, okay, yeah, if we don't score from open play, well, then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, it's a bit of that. I mean, it's like, yes, it takes some time to implement that, and probably some continuity of players that are always in the team, but it's still, it seems like there's just not a lot of ideas. But what do you feel like, Dion? Do you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's almost like they're just going through the motions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's pretty much what it is, just the simple motions. And like, also again tonight, like, I felt like Austin, for the majority of the game, that's why we love the game, because it takes one little chance to get a draw like we did. But like, I felt like Austin were there for the 50-50 balls, and like, they were more aggressive in my opinion too. And you have to show a little bit of that. We had a couple glimpses. Like, I felt like Edwards put in some good tackles. I thought Cobb looked pretty okay for being aggressive and actually like going for the ball. It's just that's the thing, there's 50-50 balls. It was all Austin in that sense. But yeah, I think that I think it's just going through the motions, and that's what it is. There's nothing to make that just one little change to spark something.
Right. And it's our midfield. I mean, our midfield's getting overrun game after game, and that's really where the hard-fought battles are won, is in the middle of the park. And when you start, I mean, I think somebody pointed out that it's like that actual midfield's pretty old, unfortunately. Ranchuk, Click, Miggy, even. I mean, it's just like they're either close to 30 or are over 30. Just by proxy of age, you're not going to be as energetic. And then when you see Fortune come on, and then he's not a left winger, he gets a pretty decent shot off cutting in. It's like, what are we doing? Why are we cutting off our feet? Like, it's just, but yeah, I mean, yeah, thoughts on that?
I mean, I think, I do have a thought. Like, I think that we sit back too much. I think tonight, I think that's why our midfield is running out of, energy and being ran too much. Like, I felt like we set way back tonight. And when you have to run 3/4 of the field as a midfielder to go on the attack, and you're trying to go at full speed when you do go on the counter, that adds up. That takes a toll. And I think that was one of the things I didn't care for that. We set way too far back defensively. So,
this is kind of piggybacking on that. There's an article that came out earlier this week from J. Sam Jones in Five Stripe Final about how Atlanta United is the worst team in the league when it comes to trying to do through balls. We almost got undone tonight by a through ball as well. Like, it was a really nasty one that if they scored that, I was like, oh, that's exactly what we should be trying to do. And this is kind of typified when you see a player like, and I'm curious about how you guys thought Sleesh did tonight. I saw at least one instance and I think this, like I said, typifies our play in general, is when he's moving the ball forward, we're in a breaking scenario where we're able to hit them on transition. We're starting to throw guys forward. He has the ball. On the left wing, we have a runner start going. He draws that defender with him. There's a lot of open space in front of Sleesh. Their defense is starting to drop. The rest of them are not in position to recover just yet. We have an opportunity here if we go fast. He decides, pass the ball laterally. Austin's defense catches up, settles into place. When that ball gets to that lateral pass, he then is forced to, circle it back all the way, and eventually the ball gets counterpressed all the way back to Brad Guzan, which then kicks it out again. So I feel like, lack of through balls, which if Sleesh was, looking for that pass from maybe that left wing runner or something else, or just take the space that they afforded you, there was an open gap there, and I know you're not the kind of guy that will, is seen as the person to do this, but do it anyway. And then that forces the defenders to come to you, and then hopefully makes some of the other guys open for runs that maybe that through ball could get to. But, never happens apparently. And we're apparently in the worst in the league when it comes to trying those, and obviously very bad at succeeding with them because we never do them.
Yeah, if you want to speak to it.
Yeah, I just, and like also Maranchuk, he's supposed to be like a world-class passer with a through ball, and I don't feel like he has shown that so far. And Sleesh, like you were saying, going laterally whenever we're in attacking, and I feel like we make a lot of bad passes because there was another like breaking, and I don't think it was Fortune, but had a pretty easy, yes, it was Fortune. I think he was trying to pass it to Saba on the left. All he had to do was just a nice, easy through ball, and instead he just overkicked it, and it goes out for a goal kick. And it's just, I feel like we make a lot of bad passes, especially in that final third, and that eats at me too.
Yeah, there was it was interesting too, because I did see in the stats, we had 10 interceptions this game, so you can tell how Austin is got after by other better teams who can really take advantage of intercepting in transition moments. Obviously, we didn't. We just didn't, even though we had the opportunities. We had 10 intercepts. Austin didn't have anywhere close. They were giving us, I remember there was a point in the chat where I think you saw, it's on the momentum index, that was the area where we started to really surge a bit in the second half. Austin was giving up the ball in kind of unforced errors a lot. A good team punishes you for that. We just didn't. And part of that is the lack of through balls with the vision, and not having someone like Maranchuk able to do that effectively is really disheartening, because like you said, that's one of the reasons he was brought in.
And that's the thing, it comes down to confidence, and that's so much the problem with this team, is that they, one, don't know how to play together, and then two, don't play to each other's strengths, and then three, without scoring a goal from open play for so long, then you absolutely lose confidence. So it compounds. It just becomes almost a self-fulfilling prophecy to a degree of, they probably think, oh, okay, maybe we are this level of a team. There is kind of a sinking type of feeling if you can't get yourself out of it. And it's been almost about 2 months. One more game, and it's 2 months where we're winless again.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be that that's how now once you've accepted it, now the learning can begin on how to fix it, instead of believing the hype from the front office and the marketing that, we're God's gift to the footballing world when, we just get spanked every week. Brian Baird says, why Saba on the bench? Play TRA and Emmanuel Latte Lot. Kyle Apgar also says, food for thought, as I have felt that better teams in MLS have had captains and leaders in the midfield, which we lack strongly. It was also brought up in the commentary that Diala is looking for that. I think we heard that part of the reason we brought in Click is to reinforce the veteran leadership. and that's just been non-existent from him.
I mean, I think you got to have the legs, and it's a bit of that. It's like if you can't prove it on the pitch, how are you gonna prove it with your mouth? You're just a guy who talks a lot. So, if he was actually brought in for leadership, I mean, it's just like, yes, he has played in the top leagues. He's a good player, but is he past it? Unfortunately, it's looking like a little bit. Like, hopefully he can find that fountain of youth and figure it out here, because, my God, we need it.
Yeah.
But Dion, final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I to back to the comment about like have Jamal in there and Saba. I mean, I think that Saba should be in the starting lineup. I feel like he always does, for the most part, give 100%. Like, I feel like he does when he is on the field. And then Jamal, like, I just felt like once we made those subs, those guys had a sense of urgency, and it was like, yeah, let's win this game. Like, they actually had that. They wanted to push, and we need that from the other guys. We need that from Atl and Almiron and Moranchuk. We need those guys to step up, and like I felt like Atl was non-existent tonight.
I know.
And then like Jamal comes in, and he had a couple good balls that he held up that was hit to him, and it's like, where was Atl on those for him? Like whenever he had the chance for those, and I don't know. I just felt like he was non-existent tonight, and we need those guys to step up. But when you're starting night in and night out, and again back to the running the field 3/4 of the way on a counter and trying to go full speed, your legs, it's hard to do that consistently. So I don't know. I feel like, because I mean, Atl was behind the ball a lot on defense too, especially in that first half. So something's got to change in that aspect. I feel like.
Right, because it's that he's not getting service, so he's having to come deeper, and then of course he's having to track back a lot more because, well, we can't hang on to the ball, and then so at that point the whole team's working really hard because we cannot keep the ball. But it is that, I think, though Emmanuel Atl, he did have that pullback for Miggy. There was it was a pretty decent chance to a degree if I think Miggy maybe took it first time, but also arguably Emmanuel Atl being left-footed, he was on that right side of the box. He probably should have taken the shot himself, maybe. Like, kind of be a selfish striker. You're the striker. You have the ball in the box. Like, take it. Like, no one's going to like scream at you for that, unless they're wide open, unmarked. But it's also this, like, Tiara, it's like he is the first striker off the bench, obviously, and I have serious questions about his touch. Like,
oh yeah,
it is to a degree where, there was one of them, I think, on the right side, and it was just so loose.
Mm-hmm.
He could have gotten it, settled it in the box, but he kicked it, or I mean, he like didn't really even cushion it, and then it just went straight, I think, to the keeper, which, like, you can't do that. You can't do that if you're a striker in the box.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I like Jamal, and I like him as coming off of the bench. I don't think I would start him. It's almost like what Gavin was saying. You have these guys that like will give it all for this club, but they're not our best players. And not saying that Jamal is a bad player, but he isn't our best either. And I think that I would rather him come off the bench than try to start him consistently with, having two strikers up top. I just don't. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Right, because you do need somebody to create, and I think that's the problem. I mean, it's like, if you do the 4-4-2, Miggy on the left, and then Saba on the right, probably, and I mean, Miggy could probably float into those positions, but then it's, again, like, what do you do with Moranchuk? And maybe he's one of the... Exactly. And he's maybe one of those roaming eights, but then you really need somebody mobile next to him that will do a lot of the dirty work, and who is that? I mean, is it Fortune? Is it
That's what I would
Sleesh?
do. I would do. I mean, yeah, I would do Fortune because I think you get a little bit more out of him in terms of, progression and offense too. Sleesh, like we just talked about, I think is a little bit more safe. Plays a little more safe.
Yeah, it's a lot of backwards. It's a lot of square balls. Hardly anything going forward. I just don't think he's thinking forward, but it's also confidence because he's not in the squad a whole lot. So he, naturally you want to, if you are in one of the more defensive positions, you're not trying to impress to a degree. You're trying to keep your place in the squad by, not doing anything too crazy.
Yeah, I need to talk about that because that was a thought I had watching this game. I described it when I'm in the Discord chat that like the team appeared to be playing to not lose. That they didn't necessarily think we're gonna go out there and win this game. It's that they were afraid. They were playing scared, and that they didn't want to be the team to first flinch. And then all of a sudden now they're chasing the game and the dynamic changes, and then that makes the world a much harder place for them. So and then the narrative comes again and says like, oh, they're losing and this is bad and everything. So they just are like so afraid for that to start again that I feel like it really holds them back. It makes them feel or appear to be playing scared, which is not what you want to do, especially against a very good team, which will tear you up like that. So Austin is not. So we got out of there with a point, but a good team, like let's say Philadelphia next week, is going to make you mincemeat if you try and play scared against them.
And that's the perplexing part, is that you're on the road. You have nothing to lose. Play like you've got nothing to lose. If you're at home, I get it. It's a whole different story. You have fans that you have to play in front of. You have to play on the ball, and you have to, control proceedings a little bit to a degree, or at least score goals in front of them. And yeah, it's like if this happened at the Benz, like it would have emptied out in the 75th minute probably. Like this is not the type of performance that you can have at the Benz, unfortunately. So it is that. But any thoughts on that, Dion?
Yeah, we do play very scared because I feel like looking back, I feel like we don't, some of our guys don't really take on defenders either. I feel like I've noticed recently in recent games, like it's more of those safe passes, like you're saying for Sleesh. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I would start Fortune over Sleesh. I think that we could get more out of Fortune than Sleesh, but he plays good defensively. He's good. It just, I feel like we need more attack minded. Maybe that's my unpopular opinion on that, but yeah.
I think Dax McCarty agrees with you, and I think a lot of people agree with you. And it's really like he has shown the most energy. He has shown the most fight for the club as well. Obviously a homegrown, and I mean you see the quality in his strike today, and you see the energy. Yes. The ball, was a little heavy in the box for that pass, but I think it's that. It's like, yeah, you got a lot of guys that, as well, that used to be in the squad that or in the 11 that take on players or defenses like Saba, Shani Silva. We, of course, traded, but Mascara, another one of those guys. But yeah, beyond that. It's like Miggy sometimes will take on some guys, but that's really
Burn.
And he's always like double marked anyway. So like if it's hard for him to even get into a 1v1.
Right. And so
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, if we had more of that, I feel like that would give Miggy more of a chance to be open.
Yep.
Even Latte Lot, like if you put Mascara and Saba on one side or the other, and they are taking on defenders, it's going to leave someone open, especially if they can beat one of the defenders and someone else has to pull over, and we're just not seeing that.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we don't have the technicians or the skill or whatever to unsettle defenses. We're constantly running at extremely settled defenses. It's difficult to break that down. So yeah,
it is.
All right, Dion.
All right, yeah.
Appreciate you having your debut on the pod and hanging out with us tonight in the Atlanta United Fan TV after dark. It's getting late.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate you asking me to come on.
Yeah, no problem. All right, Dion. Have a good one, bud.
You too. See you guys.
See ya.
See ya.
All right, let's get to the end of these comments, and then we'll do the wheel real quick. So stick around for that, everybody. So Victory said, guys, the unified team game was more enjoyable tonight, but the result was the same, and they are unbeaten. They are doing well. They are doing very well, and I wish we were doing that kind of. It's an inspiration, should be, for the first team. Stormy says, yes, we need those young, hungry players again. Then sell them off. Why do we move away from that? Victory says, are you all saying your 17 summer signing isn't working? I think you're talking about Miguel Almiron because you're always very critical of him. I think that, tonight he deserved the criticism he gets. So when he goofs up, he's going to hear it from us. In other nights, it was more so he was, one of the few guys doing what needs to be done in terms of making something happen, but nothing happened from it. It's not necessarily his fault. And at worst, a lot of times he's just a passenger. So it's not necessarily he's being like Moranchuk, who's literally giving the game away sometimes. So he hasn't done that kind of goof so much. So yeah, we are criticizing him when he deserves it. And that missing that breakaway from the beginning is not. 2017-18 Miguel Almiron scores that, is all I'll say. Kyle Apgar says, new motto for our restart. Why not us? That's right. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'll keep saying. If we keep tying/winning from here on out, I'm just going to keep saying, why not us? He also says, if a European club comes in wanting Latte Laugh, do we take it if we at least recoup our transfer fee? He seems really frustrated and not sure if that will get toxic. That's always something you got to keep an eye on. And I'm worried about the toxicity there. So, yeah, who knows? And that's just
that's way
internal.
too early to do that.
And it's also
That's
an internal thing that they just are going to have to keep an eye on. So
it's this. It's like a player like him on such a big transfer fee. It would basically be Garth Lagerwey giving his job up. Like he can't just bring him in on record transfer fee and then sell him within the same year. No, can't happen. Cannot happen.
Stormy Weather says, you know what? I was wrong. I don't like Saba at times because he just seems like a cardio merchant, but he does put in solid effort and tries for the club. He should be on the midfield. GA Bala says, okay, switch to my main and dropped a sub. Thank you, appreciate it. And I think I saw you in the Discord as well, so good talking to you there. Victory says, guys, most successful teams are populated with good people, players who are willing to help their teammates. Do we have enough good people? It's an interesting question, and it calls into the, how our scouting and the analytics kind of goes into, are we just looking at people as numbers on a page and not actually seeing their personality and how they may fit into already established group of players? So yeah, that is always something I think about from the psychological point of view of things. So yeah, it's a worry. GA Bala says, zero effort or athleticism in the midfield, and Sleesh can't dribble, so that doesn't help either. Leg Zone 6 says, until Ronnie Dyla benches Moranchuk, I can't take him seriously as a manager. Atlanta United midfielders play like the ball has rabies, like they're afraid to touch it. GA Ball also says, yep, the fortune pass to Saba at the end was numbing. Hits way too heavy for no reason. Simple pass. Well, that's the thing Dion was mentioning earlier, and something I want to say is that, we're not doing a lot of these, more fancy things. Like AJ was saying, maybe some throw-ins or change it up with set pieces that are different. Because we can't even get the basics right half the time.
It's true. But that ball in the box isn't exactly basic, I would say. That's a pretty actually difficult pass to actually weight correctly. So, while it might look easy because the people that do it well make it look super easy, you had to have put enough weight on it, but also light enough, and then put a little bit of bend so that it gets onto Saba's right foot, because for him to actually take it in stride, like it's a lot harder, I think. But I know we all say, everybody likes to say, especially people. I won't go there. But basically, a lot of people will say like, "Oh, my grandma can make that pass, and I can do that," all that type of stuff. And it's like, it's really not. It is hard. Like all the stuff on the pitch is hard, especially if you've run for however many minutes, 90 something odd minutes. I mean, Fortune obviously and Saba just came on, but like those are still difficult things. So they all deserve at least the case of it being a difficult sport to play, but them being professionals, yes, they should also be lauded when they do well, and then criticized when they're not.
100%. Also, Victory and GA Ball in the chat. Take a chill pill, both of you. We don't need to be arguing over stuff like that right now. Also, T. Brian says, Atlanta's setup through midfield is so lethargic. AJ, why is this? I am bewildered.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit earlier already, that our midfield gets overrun because, yeah, we have aging guys and somewhat unathletic guys to a degree. And it's not like you need to be the most athletic to be in midfield, but you do need to have the legs to last you the entire match. That's why they call it the engine room. And, it's like when both of our guys essentially get subbed out, it's not the best look. So, but it's this. It's like, yeah, you don't have to be the most mobile. Like Sergio Busquets is a big example of that. Toni Kroos, also another big example of that. I mean, hell, even other guys like Xabi Alonso, those type of players. It's just that they have the smarts. They have the look at Modric. I mean, he's pretty mobile though, but
yeah, even for his age.
Yeah, but it is that. It's like they have the wiliness. They have the know-how. They know where to position themselves, and they have. Like, Toni Kroos has one trick. He has one technical ability that he just exploits over and over because he's just so damn good at it. And it's just that. It's like, yeah, I mean, obviously, if we had the ability to be in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe, we could get the top players. But, yeah, we have MLS quality players, or sometimes better than that, but midfield is super hard. Like super hard to get those type of players to stay in the league, unless you're Darlington Nagbe.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay Darlington Nagbe, just what happened. But yeah, it's that. It's like we can still find MLS quality midfielders, but it's just we have not in years, in over half a decade. So, yeah, I mean, I think it does show how difficult it is, though, in this league to always find, the really truly special players that actually want to play in MLS.
Yeah.
But
Victory wants to know, how did Klitsch do tonight? So, from my perspective, Klitsch playing as the 8. I would like him to be more progressive and more offensive-minded, but I think that, like AJ was saying, our midfield was a bit run over tonight, and it's reflected in that Klitsch was essentially pinned an hour half and wasn't able to really go further up and to affect any change because of that. He had good passing percentage accuracy. He had, a decent amount of them. He didn't do any noticeable gaffes that upended our team that much. So, there was nothing that I was gonna think is criminal about his play tonight. I think he was just, a bit of a passenger, but that's not all his fault. I think it was a bit of us getting, run over a bit in the midfield, and it pressured him to have to play more safe. Just like Sleesh had to do. Well, not always. Sleesh had a couple of opportunities that he chose not to really do anything with, but Klitsch did try, and he does do the long switches sometimes, and I appreciate him trying to do that. It doesn't always work, but I at least applaud him trying to do that because he's one of the few players who executes the long switch for us. So that's my points on Click. Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, it is. It's the. It was something that he was lauded for by me, at least early, was that he was always available. I mean, I saw a little bit less of that. I think it's a little bit of fitness related because he's not able to last entire matches right now, and I think it's a little bit of that kind of just all of that compounding in the sense that okay, you don't have enough energy, and so we don't see a whole lot of third man runs, and those are those players that need to make third man runs in order for us to play the proper triangles to get up the pitch, and then also say a pullback in the box. Those are usually your midfielders making a late run. They don't have the energy to do that. And then we also don't have any goal scoring midfielders really. Like you just really, I mean, no one's scoring. Let's be honest, besides Miggy and Emmanuel Atl Utd. And so it's, and he hasn't scored in 7 games. So it's just one of those things where if your striker's not scoring, well, the rest of the squad needs to pick it up, and we just don't have goals. We don't have any goals in the squad. And like your midfield has to be the next up to help with that. And it's just not there. Like no one's taking long shots. No one's scoring from midfield, from defense.
No one's presenting themselves as threats in addition to the striker and Miguel Almiron once in a while. It's and like Dion was saying earlier, when other players present themselves as legitimate threats, that unsettles the defense and allows those other guys more freedom, and it just doesn't really happen for us. And I was hoping that that'd be more the case this season, but c'est la vie. Anyway, all right, we're on to the wheel now. Let's find out whether it will be AJ or I. Hopefully it's AJ because there's some stuff on the wheel tonight, guys. It is AJ again. That's 2 in a row for you. Yeah, 2 in a row. Everyone clap. Everyone applaud.
I think it's 3.
Is it 3? All right, we'll have the mathematicians tally it.
It's the spicy challenge.
Yeah, you're right. It is 3.
Hat.
So you got 3 now.
Yeah.
This is 3 now. So I have 1 so far this season. You have 3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's coming due. It's coming due, AJ.
It will always come due.
All right, so let's see what we got on the wheel tonight. Soccer Skills Challenge. Paint Face Purple from losing to Orlando, unfortunately, and doing a Yoda voice for 5 minutes. That's going to be an interesting one. A fake sponsor ad read and a reverse roast. So all 3 of these last ones are Patreon selected ones. So if you would like to have a word about what goes on the wheel, join our Patreon and submit to one of those tiers that allows you the privilege of being able to do that. It's a fun time to pick some of these interesting wheel slices that we have available. All right, let's see without further ado what AJ will have to do. Oh, what's it gonna be? It landed like basically right in the middle of 2, and it is the Soccer Skills Challenge. It was almost Paint Face Purple. It was so close. Woo.
Okay, man,
All
that's gonna be a really busy week. Well, I may have 2 days to do this. No.
So,
my family's in town, so.
Well, you got plenty of people to film it then for you. Put in the chat what you guys want to see him do in terms of a soccer skill, and then we'll film it for you. Yeah, anything is up for grabs. I'm sure AJ probably has some ideas of what he'd like to do. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas, put them either in the Discord or throw them in the chat here before we get out of here. And I'm actually going to grab an invite link and throw it in the chat for if you are not joined on the Discord. Join up today. That's where we have a lot of these fun discussions. It gives you all the information you ever need to know about Atlanta United the instant it comes out. It's because we have our people with their ear to the ground, and they post immediately when something happens before you see it basically anywhere else. So, yeah, join us there. And with that, AJ, is there anything else you wanted to say?
That is it. But guys, thanks for hanging out with us past midnight. Holy crap, it's 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. Man, I'm tired. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That's Michael. I'm AJ. We will see you in the next video.
Take care, everybody.